Hi guys, back in April of this year, I had made a video about Jed Wallace, aka Brian Friedman's fixer and Shady SEO manipulator, who also works for Aidan Ross and Jake and Logan Paul. He had sued Blake Lively for defamation, claiming he had nothing to do with the retaliation smear campaign against her after she complained about sexual harassment on the set of the movie It Ends With Us. And he was asking for $7 million.
Oh my God.
In the state of Texas. Well, we have an update because just like the defamation suit that the Wayfarer parties filed against Blake Lively and the New York Times newspaper, this defamation lawsuit has been dismissed. Quote, after careful consideration of the filings and the relevant law, the court grants defendants, that's Blake Lively, motion to dismiss. And if we turn to the document and read the legal standard, motion to dismiss under Rule 12b-2, it confers a right to dismissal of claims against a defendant where personal jurisdiction is lacking. And so what it's saying is filing a lawsuit for defamation in Texas against Blake Lively has no grounds. But it's dismissed without prejudice, meaning technically he could file it again. However, having already filed for defamation in New York, and having that case dismissed, that only really leaves him with the option of refiling in California, which is somewhere he said he's neither lived or worked in. It will be interesting to see whether Blake Lively chooses to sue him in the state of California, since her suit against him in New York was dismissed for a lack of jurisdiction. See, the difference is Jed said that he couldn't be sued in the state of New York because he didn't know he was working for people who were in the state of New York, even though they said it on text messages and he was monitoring their social media as his job when the screening of the film was in New York and Blake Lively posted a picture of herself in her house in New York. Whereas his grounds for suing Blake in Texas was because she attended an event there for the premiere of another film she was starring in, A Simple Favor, at the SXSW event in March 25, and never said anything to vindicate Jed Wallace. When confronted by a Texas resident, aka a content creator who supports Baldoni called Colonel Kurtz, who Steve Sarowitz is subscribed to on YouTube, who staged a little protest holding a sign that stated Blake lies and referenced justice for Justin. Lively never admitted that her statements were false, but rather allowed her lies to stand. So his complaint was because Blake Lively didn't say anything to her, that meant she was defaming Jed Wallace, which I couldn't even get my head around when I was reading it, because who actually cares? And the judge said that the plaintiff had failed to present any affidavits, interrogatories, depositions, oral testimony, or any combination of the recognized methods of discovery that the court may use to determine the jurisdictional issue. And Jed's name is implicated in this extremely obvious orchestrated online smear campaign. The details and other examples of I've gone over in various other videos, by way of his name being all over the messages of Tag PR, the crisis PR company run by MelissaNathan that Justin Baldoni hired at great expense to try and save his glorious reputation as a male feminist, not someone who can't stand women by the sounds of it, and pretty much wanted to turn It Ends With Us into a soft porn movie. He didn't like that he couldn't get his own way. He didn't like that he was being called out. He genuinely felt like he was being attacked and ambushed by a bunch of women like Colleen Hoover, the author of the million-selling book he had bought the rights to, Blake Lively, and other cast members in the film. And rather than be man enough, as he's always preached to his audience, he was sending messages saying things like, I don't want it to seem like we're planting stories. This isn't bots liking me, is it? When it very obviously was. Since December 21st, when Blake Lively first made her complaint against these people public, they have denied retaliating against her, even though it's become blatantly obvious how they orchestrated this campaign using anonymous and fake social media accounts, many of which have now been deleted, to make comments or like posts, and artificially boosting and amplifying engagement of stories that painted Blake Lively and her brand in a negative light. And these people have obstructed the discovery process by refusing to hand over any message correspondence when they are legally obligated to, and knew they shouldn't destroy any evidence which could have helped them to prove their case if they had one. But from the evidence we do see how often Jed Wallace's name comes up. The very day he was hired is the same day we see a spike in negative sentiment reports about Blake Lively. Colleen Hoover, who had an abusive childhood, had to make her account private. She was getting so many hate comments. But in the messages, the Tag Crisis PR team are celebrating their social media wins. On August 6th, in an internal Tag group chat, Katie Case replied that the comments are working excellent and that the comments about him travelling was all us lol. On August 9th, 2024, Katie Case, who no longer works at Tag PR, sent a screenshot of a comment made by an individual with the username AS on an unidentified social media platform stating, Daily Mail broke a story saying Blake called Justin abusive. I don't buy it. I think it's a way for her to get more control and attention of the movie. The Daily Mail article that appears to be referenced in the comment was published the same day and referenced reports that Justin was unprofessional and chauvinistic on set. Immediately after sending the screenshot of the comment, Ms. Case said, "Thank the Lord for Jed." In another comment from Case's evidence in a group chat, she says comments are all defending him, that's Baldoni, and she replies, "That's us lol." Before he started working, they were begging him for him to come on board and were calling him a magician. But he's point blank refused to produce any evidence of his communications. And Blake Lively has filed a legal objection to his objection and opposing his motion to have his evidence sealed, citing these messages in the reasons why he should be compelled to produce his evidence, which were mainly done on the disappearing message app Signal, and which he advised anyone who was in contact with him to download. Jed Wallace has tried every excuse under the sun to wiggle his way out of his legal obligations in this situation. He said he had a medical emergency when they tried to serve him papers. He said he couldn't afford to be sued when he's hired Oprah Winfrey's attorney. He said he worked in Texas and the law didn't apply to him there. He said he needed to keep his other clients' anonymity, and that's why so many of his documents are redacted. He even said he was going to send an assistant to do his own deposition because he was too sick. This isn't just about Blake Lively. This is about him as a professional troll manipulating SEO results and algorithms in his favour, because he works for people like Aidan Ross, who promotes gambling to kids and has been blatantly racist, homophobic and misogynist on live streams. And Jed didn't have a problem inserting himself into his dad's financial fraud case. He wrote a super long letter to the judge telling him what he did for a living and how he could vouch for Aidan Ross, who was a super popular live streamer. On the same day, Aidan Ross was working with Andrew Tate. I wish I was making this up. And he claims to be a strategist for Logan and Jake Paul. And he's heavily involved in the addiction / rehab treatment promotion world. I nearly said scam then. And what makes him more sus is he's already been shown to have lied in documents in previous court cases. He's deleted his entire internet history, apart from 1 or 2 photos and links that I guess he can't get access to. And the way he speaks in the messages in this pseudo-guru lingo. Everything's magical, family. We've entered a whole new landscape and it's magical. It's so beautiful, hating on women and women hating on each other. I can't cope with it. When it's really just me directing an alt account in the comments like a bottom B, being sent social media posts that his clients need to go away or to go viral, like this Twitter post that had 10 million views. At the start of this alleged smear campaign, there were a couple of videos that made the story go viral. One was the Shady Floor interview with Blake Lively and Parker Posey from 2016, which was sitting in a Facebook post from that long ago in a foreign language, but somebody out of the blue, this is according to Shady, contacted her to say, have you ever had to delete an interview because it was that bad? And Shady promptly re-uploaded the video titled The Blake Lively Interview That Made Me Want to Quit My Job, My Nightmare Interview, on the 10th of August. That's 2 weeks before the alleged Netherlands journalist published his article. But she's already doing interviews about it on the 16th of August. On the 5th of August, Justin had sent a screenshot to his publicist Jen Abel, who wanted to bring MelissaNathan on board and activate the social combat plan of an anonymous Twitter thread about Hailey Bieber being a bully, and said this is what we would need. It's just really funny that same day Melissa had sent an email to Jed Wallace outlining the 17-point return to work plan. And just a few days later, when his actual contract started, he said in an email, my team has already been in full throttle. And the day he starts work, when he said we're crushing it on Reddit, the Blake Lively Snark subreddit page was created, and the first post on that subreddit was Shady Floor's interview. And in a video by another TikTok creator, Nadia, this was referenced somewhere in the lawsuit documents, but I can't remember why. But the top comment in her video, which has over 2,000 likes, says, Blake telling a reporter, I like your little bump, fat shaming her, and to top it off, the reporter is unable to get pregnant. She is a disgusting bully. So it seems like by the 16th of August, Justin got his wish. On the 14th of August, Jen Abel had sent Justin a link to a Daily Mail article about the video, which said, Daily Mail headline branding Blake a mean girl and Hollywood villain from an old interview she did where she treated the journalist horribly. To which Justin replied, wow, she really must not be liked. You can only treat people badly for so long. The Daily Mail was all over this story about Blake Lively being a bully, but there's another male journalist they're talking about from their network in another message thread, Alison Boshoff, and discussing if she could write a think piece hating on Blake Lively. And when she publishes the article, they're like, oh, she came through for us. But when you check the URL on the article, it uses the keywords Blake Lively, Mean Girl, Shady Floor, which is not the title of Alison Boshoff's article. So I just think that's weird. We also know that on the same day Shady Floor's video went viral, someone was making many edits on her Wikipedia page, and that Alison Boshoff's article was focusing on Blake Lively's hair care line and how badly it was being received, which became a trending topic on UK Reddit in the middle of the night. Because anyone running a bot network can use a VPN to disguise where the actual activity is coming from. It can literally be a room somewhere with machines that hold hundreds of different SIM cards. And it explains all the now deleted or anonymous accounts on Reddit posting about Blake Lively's hair care line. But there's clearly nothing organic about this campaign against Blake Lively that was used to distract from Justin Baldoni's failings as a director and producer of a movie that was supposed to be advocating for women, and used to suppress any other stories that he might have been a predator, like Charlotte, who they called Crazy Girl, who made a TikTok saying Justin invited her up to his hotel room and was never heard of again. And none of this would have been possible without the interference with manipulating the SEO and algorithm by a man called Jed Wallace, and that is why he should be held accountable for his actions and his decisions in life. It's a genuine attack on freedom of information done by a middle-aged bald man from the United States of America who speaks like a creep, supports creeps, and hangs out with creeps. So it's in all of our interest that Blake Lively and her legal team succeed in not allowing his evidence to remain sealed. I'll keep you posted.